Hello, my name's Françoise and this is my garden. I moved here about 4 years ago and I discovered I had a few problems which needed sorted, and that's why my garden was changed totally.
Can you give us an idea of the background and the challenges you found when you moved in here?
Oh yes, it's difficult to explain, but practically there's a little bit of a slope here. And with that slope, water that comes from across tends to go down that way. And at the time it was all concreted, and the concrete is all over the place here, so water doesn't drain anywhere. So I had water flooding down on bad days, flooding around here. So it was serious because it was getting too close to the house. So I had to change the way the house and the garden were dealt with, basically.
What was here before these houses were built?
Oh, I think there were marshes and then garden centres, but here I saw some very old maps. There was nothing built here. I don't know why.
So how did you deal with all these problems, Françoise?
For a start, a lot of the rubble that was here, because this rubble all around the house, had to be removed. But we could remove all of it. It was too much. So actually, we did build a garden, which is called a rain garden here, to catch the water. If you see carefully, it's raised because there's hardly any soil underneath. And it's very good, it's heavy clay that will hold water. And for the drive here, the drive has been resurfaced about that deep with different sort of soil which absorb the moisture. And I insisted on not having a soil with nothing in. That's why we did that strip in the middle. It's not easy to look after, but it's better than what was here.
What kind of plants have you got up the middle of your drive? They look interesting.
Oh, it's changing all the time. Whatever I intended to have is not necessarily here. And in the spring, it's full of bulbs and things that can stay dry and don't need a lot of water. Nothing gets watered around here. It's all existing by itself. Here, everywhere.
Did you use any of the existing rubble or building materials that were here?
Oh yes. I had a lot of crazy paving, especially at the back. So the crazy paving actually is used to make that. And I must tell you about recycling, because I used a garden firm that recycled things. So whatever they took out of my garden went to a yard, got reused to build roads, and they brought something that they had found elsewhere in other gardens. So a lot of my material is recycled. The wood as well is old wood. There's very little new here. And I didn't want to have too much stones, so I refused to have stone all around there. And I put some wood chips, because that's better for the environment and it also absorbs humidity.
So you managed to keep all this lovely planting without watering it at all?
When I planted it at first, I put a little bit, but a lot of it came naturally by itself. It was in the soil. I planted some, and it colonizes everything. We're in the back garden now, which is different from the front. The front is very windy and full of sun. here it's very shady and not easy because for half the year I've got no sun here at all. So I had to work differently here. But one thing I've done at the back is thinking about water. What we've done is first repair the gutters up there and repair them with deep gutters so it would catch more water. Then the water goes into water baths. There's one here and one on the other side. And then that water bath has got an overflow into the middle of here. And there's a water bath there from the garage roof, which also has got a pipe going in the middle here. So if we got too much water, it will go in the middle here, because the middle is like a little stream. It's dug in the middle. It doesn't look like that now, but it's quite deep in the middle. So it can catch any water. And any water that comes there comes down naturally because there's a little slope to make the water run down. And then it goes, that water, if ever there is some, goes right into a pond. And the pond is over there. And it's quite a deep pond. It even is built over soakaway, which if necessary I can take the plug out of and it could go into the soakaway underneath.
What's a swale? Can you explain swales and
Oh yes, a
dams?
swale is like a little valley. And people refer to that swale when they do water things, the building works that need to catch water, and when they're going up it's called a bem. That's called a bem. So I call that one a Hugo culture because it's a principle that comes from Germany. What you do, you're supposed to put lots of wood, old wood, and build a sort of little mountain above it. Normally they can be very, very big, but mine is very small. And it's a project in the making. It's having problems building itself at the moment. Now I need to say something about recycling at the back too, because that was important. Whenever you do something new, you're using an awful lot of things that are not good for the environment. So the idea was that I would try to use things that were reused or not new, and there's quite a few here. If you look at the ground, if you look at those square stones, that's new, but all the bits in between are all recycled bricks, recycled stone that came from elsewhere, and that was built by somebody who really liked doing that, from the gardening firm I used. And if you look at those boxes, which are raised, because again there's no soil here, all those boxes are made from recycled wood that were provided for me by the men in shed. They did it all for me. There's quite a few. And if you can see the fence over there that hides my dustbins, right over there, that is made of recycled blinds. I was getting rid of blinds and somebody had the good idea to make them into screen.
I've seen some butterflies and you can hear the birds. Have you done anything particular to encourage the wildlife here?
Oh yes, and there are insects around that have been encouraged quite a lot. I've let things grow the way they can grow. I've recently planted some, and in the middle you got things that can take wet ground because you can get very wet, and on the edges you have things that are taking to the dry, shady soil. It grows in layers, in that I've got about 3 layers of things growing. So in the winter it's very low, and I've got winter things, and then I get lots of bulbs, and then things start growing bigger and bigger, and by the summer it's like that, and then it all dies down again by the winter. I also grow layers using all the walls. I use all the walls and the fences to grow whatever we grow on the wall and fences to have some height, and use that space because I haven't got much ground. And of course the ground is not terribly good anyway. It's only got about that amount of soil here, and a bit more in the middle there, where there's where the water could potentially flow, but it doesn't at the moment. Well, as you can see, there's a lot growing there. It grows in layers. I've got about 3 layers of things over the year. In the spring it's very low, and then even in the winter it's very low, but I've still got flowers. I've got flowers all year round for the insects. And then the next layer is a bit bigger. Once the bulb is finished, and it grows and it grows, and it gets very tall, like the grasses. And then it goes down again in the winter. And I'm using all the walls and the fences to have things growing along it. So I've got a bit of fruit rather, growing along there, along the fences, so that I don't lose space, because obviously I've got so little ground, and the ground I have is not terribly good. It's very shallow. I've got also sometimes dragonfly going to the pond. I've got birds that are coming back to the garden, yeah, and they like the water especially. I don't feed them too much, but they come for water, and I even got a toad somewhere.
So what do you think you've learnt from developing this intriguing and diverse garden?
Well, I've got very little space, so I've learned that I've got to make the best of what I've got. I can't have a garden just to grow food or vegetables or whatever. So I try to mix things to help them develop together. So for example, I grow herbs a bit everywhere. I grow things I can eat in my salads, like nasturtium behind you. I grow things to put in drinks, like I grow mint and chamomile. And then at the back of the garden I've got a few fruit in the boxes, and some tomatoes who are doing just what they want to do. They're not actually controlled very much, and sometimes they're totally uncontrolled. But it works, and sometimes there are weeds setting themselves there too, so I have to live with that. But this is my compost corner. In front of it I've got a wormery. Now I do find worms very important in a garden, especially in clay soil, because the clay soil doesn't have much in the way of worms, and worms work the soil and they digest it, and they improve the soil and the structure of the soil. So when I noticed I didn't have worms, I decided I would put worms back in the soil. So that's why I've got a wormery. I put my kitchen leftovers, sort of the vegetable leftover obviously, an uncooked thing, and slowly the worm will find a way through it, and then I have a tray full of soil, which is very good, full of worms, and I take that into the garden and put it where there's no worms, so that slowly the clay soil will become easier to manage.
I wonder how you think your garden is going to stand up to climate change.
Well, we all have to learn from experimenting, don't we? I plant things which I think are tough plants that will cope with the wind, the lack of water, and too much water. And obviously, some will work and some won't. And I think, obviously, we will save enough to maintain a diverse environment and the biodiversity, but it's not perfect because we don't know what's going to happen. But I think it's an experiment that's worth doing.